Welcome to the Fantasy Football Fanalist Podcast, presented by Fantasy Data. Here's your hosts, Billy Muzio and Bradley Stalder.
Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fantasy Podcast. Billy Muzio and Bradley Stalder here, and we are going to be covering our Thanksgiving football slate here for our Tuesday night show. Bradley, do you have any traditions for Thanksgiving football? Well, what do you and the family do?
We eat a lot of food, and I take a nap. My wife sent me a video, and it was like the 5 different types of people at Thanksgiving, and she was like, "You're definitely at least one of these," and I identified with the eater and the napper. So after a good hearty meal at Thanksgiving, there's nothing like falling asleep to, football and waking up and being victorious in your fantasy football league. So
waking up, I love it. Yeah, I am. I do the cooking, so I do all the cooking for Thanksgiving. My family comes up. I can see the screen as I cook, which is nice. And then we all hang out, we eat, and finish watching football. I'm watching in between, of course, as well, and I get breaks in between, get long stretches. But football's on all day at our house. It'd be no other way. And then, we enjoy the dinner as a family. West Coast, a little bit different of a time, right? And then. We just kind of hang out, finish football for the day. And then I get to look at all my DFS lineups that failed and always complain about the small slates. And then I get to just look at my season long and hope I'm victorious. So that's Thursday night football for me, or Thanksgiving football for me, I should say.
What's your favorite dish to make since you make all the food?
Oh man, I love stuffing. I don't know why I don't make it more, just randomly throughout the year. I just love it. I do make my own cranberry sauce. I think was it your post or was it?
Yep, it was me. I only eat it the ocean spray from the can. You just shake it out, put it on a plate, slice it up on the little ridges that it has, and it's perfectly exactly there. I wouldn't have it any other way, because one year decided to get the cranberries in the sauce. And that was a mistake, because I don't like surprises. Like when I'm biting into something, I don't like surprises. I just want to bite into it and know that it's just the jelly. I don't want any crunchiness or anything like that. No. So,
well, good. Okay. Cranberry sauce should not be crunchy. So whoever made that cranberry sauce royally effed it up is what happened, because cranberry sauce is supposed to be like jelly, man. It's just delicious, and it's gonna the homemade stuff is a hint of tartness, but primarily sweet. I make my own cranberry sauce every year. It's pretty simple, just cranberry, right, orange juice and sugar, and just reduce that bad boy down, and then we store it, right, and put it on sandwiches throughout the next month or so, because it'll last quite a bit of time. But I really like my cranberry sauce, Bradley.
Well, maybe when you come and visit again, I'll have to have you make some. Okay, Billy, let's kick it off with some hard-hitting questions, some questions that have been burning. And I feel like the first couple that we'll look at have been like a culmination. It's not just 1 week of frustration that we felt from Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs offense. Patrick Mahomes has, other than his number 1 overall week, not this past week, but the week before, that it just seems Mahomes and the Chiefs offense just isn't looking the same. What is going to be the solution for them? How confident are you with Mahomes going into the last few weeks before the fantasy playoffs, and now some leagues have 2 weeks left until the fantasy playoffs. Some leagues it's 3 or 4. Are you worried?
This is the last week.
Exactly. How concerned are we? On a week-to-week basis, is there consideration of starting the likes of Cam Newton over Patrick Mahomes? Is that crazy? Or how broken is this Chiefs offense?
When you spend, a top 3 draft pick on a quarterback, there's no other way that you can not play him. I mean, I understand he's been, hot and cold, but the week that you bench him, he's going to throw for 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's had these hills and valleys, but he still put up a lot of yards. I have to say, you have to have concerns. We've talked about this on the show the last few weeks. It's just teams are running that cover 2 shell, and they figured it out. They're making him throw short passes. They're not giving up the home run plays, which is what the Chiefs have beaten you in the past with. So I think that you have to be concerned, but at the same time, you just have to trust that you drafted him with a high pick, and you're going to have to just accept that this is how he's playing this year, and he's going to have a boom bust week. He may have a boom bust week, but you can't bench him. There's no way.
Well, looking at his schedule, obviously week 12, he's on the bye this week, and so is so are all of his teammates, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey. Kelsey had a rushing score. Mahomes didn't even throw a passing touchdown in week 11 against Dallas. But looking forward to his schedule, week 13, Denver. And they've been a tough defense against quarterbacks. Vegas, week 14. They played they gave up a lot of points in week 10 to Mahomes. That was his number 1 overall week. But then they get the Chargers, the Steelers, and Cincinnati's played good defense in week 17 and a lot of championships. So, especially relative to expectation, this is, I think, a not an easy schedule for Mahomes during these fantasy playoffs.
No, and the bye hurts, right? Especially when you need him. If you have Cam Newton, he played well, but it's still, again, like, you can't play Cam Newton over Patrick Mahomes right now. Like, you just can't do it. Like, I understand, Newton came out and looked good for his first game back.
He was the QB5.
Yeah, he was, and he always has a type of upside. But I mean, you drafted Patrick Mahomes with that pick. You have to utilize him. Like, it's you're going to try to get cute, and it's going to bite you. It really is.
All right. We'll shift a little bit into Dallas now, and we're going to ask the same question. What is wrong with Dak Prescott and the Dallas offense looking over the last couple weeks? Yes, like, they've had Denver, Atlanta, Kansas City, but we've seen 4 passing touchdowns, 3 interceptions over the last 3 games total for Dak. He has 2 of those 3 games under 233 passing yards. In the game where he had 296, he only had 31 pass attempts. Like, you're either getting a lot of pass attempts and a lot of inefficiency, or you're getting some efficiency, but that means that the pass catchers are being hurt. So how is the Dallas offense going to get right in week 12 against Vegas?
Oh, man. It's going to break down to being healthy or not being healthy, right? You have, CeeDee Lamb, who left with a concussion. You had Amari Cooper, who was on the COVID list, who's going to be out again this week. There's a lot of moving pieces right now in the wide receiver core. Michael Gallup came back. It's about timing and rhythm, and they just don't have it right now. You hope with, a short week of football, maybe they're going to work on that timing a little bit. But I think overall, it's just been a chemistry. A lot of it's been chemistry related, and a lot of it's been injury related as well. So I think I'm not sure it's going to all come together this week, but it's Thursday night, or it's Thursday football, so you never know what's going to happen. On top of it is Thanksgiving, and there's always that one game that just destroys somebody. Like last year, like the Bucs had like 5 touchdowns before halftime on Thanksgiving, and I always liked Dallas and their offense, but I just think that with all the injuries that they're having, it's going to be tough for them to get it right this week.
Well, and Zeke was dealing with a knee injury too, and
yep.
And he did get a full practice in today. But yeah, I agree with you. There's definitely injuries. Tyron Smith did practice today as well, but I agree. There's the chemistry question. Dak says that he's fully recovered from the calf injury from a few weeks ago. Like, you wonder whether he's just playing through it and he's being a leader, he's being tough, but I'm approaching this offense with a lowered ceiling, like a Michael Gallup. I wouldn't expect to go off on Thanksgiving. Like, it's more likely than not. Or
if he caught a lot of those passes last week, he would have gone off.
Perhaps the pass catcher I'm most confident in the range of outcomes is probably Dalton Schultz. with all of the other pass catchers being out.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz has been just a focal point of this offense with all the pass catchers out. Absolutely, we could see them use 12 personnel a little bit extra, maybe 2 running back sets. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out, but it was encouraging to see CeeDee Lamb was at least limited today. He's going to have to clear in time. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but if he does, then this offense looks a lot different on Thursday.
All right, we've talked a lot about chemistry, Billy. You got to pick a side now. Perhaps one of the greatest tight end prospects we've ever seen, Kyle Pitts, rest of season, or I don't know if there's a better quarterback rookie tight end chemistry than Ben Roethlisberger to Pat Freiermuth right now. The Muth. So who would you rather have rest of season, Pat Freiermuth or Kyle Pitts?
Oh man, I'm probably gonna get hell on Twitter for this, but I'm gonna pick Pat Freiermuth. Couple reasons.
Tag him at FF Museo.
Yeah, everyone's gonna attack me. I wasn't a big Pitts fan going into the season, and I ate crow for a little bit. But looking at how these offenses are kind of playing right now, and what other weapons they have on their team, Kyle Pitts is it right now. The rest of these stars, not stars. The rest of these scrubs are not stars. And, Russell Gage, come on. I mean, I know Bradley loved Russell Gage last year and called his breakout and was right, but let's face it, the man has not been able to win a bunch of one-on-ones or beat man coverage right now. And so what's happening is a lot of these teams are double teaming Kyle Pitts, where Pat Freiermuth has Claypool to draw attention from. He's got Deontay Johnson to draw attention from. He's got Najee Harris to draw attention from. So with Kyle Pitts being, essentially the X receiver on this team, he is just receiving a ton of double man coverage. So I'm going to say rest of season, Pat Freiermuth, I would rather have.
Oh man, I was such a Pitts truther at the beginning of the year, and all of that was prefaced on the Atlanta offense is going to be okay. The Atlanta offense is going to be okay, and it is not the case that the Atlanta offense is okay right now. You said Kyle Pitts is it. Russell Gage has not been winning. He's been dealing with injuries. He's received some short yardage targets out of the slot, but we've seen Olamide Zaccheaus get some looks. Like, those are not inspiring players. And Matt Ryan has looked terrible over the last few weeks. In fact, I benched him for Cam Newton the last 2 weeks, and both times it's paid off. So look, the offense for Atlanta is just so bad. And you were talking about how Freiermuth is, he's protected. He's a safety valve. If Deontay Johnson is not getting open across the seam, if Chase Claypool is not getting open deep, Freiermuth has had 6 or more targets in each of his last 5 games. In fact, 7 or more targets in 4 of those games. He had a 9-target game against Detroit. I don't see that going away, especially in light of Eric Ebron's injury that was made public today. Ebron suffered the injury at the end of Week 11's game against the Chargers, and he's looking to be out for at least 4 weeks. And looking
Dunzo.
He's done for the season. Is that the word?
No, I mean, he's pretty much been done all year.
Oh yeah, but well, here's the thing. I was wrong about the player, right about the position. I had Ebron as a top 11 tight end going into the season because I noticed that it was the tight end position that was going to get it. I didn't think Freiermuth would elevate this quickly. So I'll take the L on Ebron, but knowing that the Pittsburgh tight end position is very valuable to Ben and the Steelers offense and how it operates, that's a powerful way to earn fantasy points. And Freiermuth has 4 touchdowns in the last 4 games. So yeah, fire him up.
Such good hands too. Like, he's got such good hands. I've been like impressed with him. I liked him, but I didn't think he was going to be this good this fast. Like you said, like, he's just come to light like faster than you can imagine for a tight end. And we've talked about before, tight end's one of the hardest positions to learn in the NFL. You're learning blocking assignments, you're running routes. It's why it usually takes tight ends so long to develop and grow into good football players and for them to see the field. It just doesn't happen this fast. And Freiermuth is just proving everybody wrong and statistics wrong on top of it.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Pratt Freiermuth finish off the season strong. I am worried, though, about next year a little bit because I don't know who the quarterback's going to be. We're assuming that Ben is not going to be there. I mean, there's been talk of like Jimmy Garoppolo getting traded too. But if Jimmy Garoppolo is traded, look what he works with George Kittle. Like Kittle is a beast and he's got great hands and there's Freiermuth there as well. So I I don't know who's going to be the quarterback. I am a little wary of for the future, but Freiermuth is he's higher than Pitts for year one. I think rest of the season.
Ooh, I like it, Bradley. I like it.
All right. All right, Billy, time to stick you a little bit. It wasn't Adrian Peterson, so I'm sticking myself a little bit. And it wasn't D'Onta Foreman, who led the Tennessee backfield on Sunday. Instead, it was Dontrell Hilliard, the former Houston punt and kick returner, who was elevated to the active roster today, and as he was on Sunday, in light of Adrian Peterson getting waived. So he'll clear waivers and be free to sign anywhere else, I suppose. But Jeremy Mcnichols is suffering from a concussion. Hilliard played 50% or 50 snaps, over 50 snaps, played the majority of the snaps. Is that the type of involvement we're going to expect until Mcnichols returns? Or is this just how the game script affected the usage for Tennessee?
I think it's the game script. I was a bit surprised, quite frankly, because Foreman looked good in the passing game last week or 2 weeks ago now, I guess, because now we're a week ahead of time. But one of his biggest plays was on that little screen pass. But I don't expect Hilliard to see that continue, that type of usage moving forward. I would expect to see until Mcnichols is back somewhere between like maybe 42 to 45. We're splitting hairs here, but it is going to make a difference. I think that Foreman's going to see more of that 1-2 work, especially goal line carries now with, old man AP gone. And I would not be surprised to see Foreman using the passing a little more, but I don't think that they would cut AP if they didn't have faith and hope in Mcnichols and his health right now. So I think that that's a good sign for Mcnichols. I think that's a good sign for the team. And I think that expect to see a heavy dosage of Foreman moving forward with AP gone.
Yeah. Hilliard had 10 targets in this game, 8 catches, 47 yards. So it was a lot of dump offs. I agree with you. It probably was game script. He did get 7 rushes, which was about what we were seeing with Jeremy Mcnichols prior to the injury was, 5 to 7 or so, not the majority of them. But that, like, if Hilliard's in this pass catching role and the offense is really struggling, I mean, they're at New England. I don't have a lot of confidence in anything in Tennessee right now, given the injuries and everything. But I mean, we'll talk about more about Tennessee here in a second. But, if you're picking a PPR running back, who you're going to pick for week 12 against New England?
PPR running back week 12 against New England. I'm still starting Foreman.
Okay.
Yeah. You're going to hope for a touchdown. You're also going to expect a few opportunities in the passing game as well. I think Foreman is going to see the bulk of the carries.
Yeah. Grit your teeth with that. Okay. We'll stay in Tennessee though. And the wide receivers are just getting decimated, Billy. A.J. Brown with a rib injury. X-rays came back negative, thankfully. Julio Jones is out with perpetual hamstring injuries. Marcus Johnson also injured his hamstring on a red zone target. Does Nick Westbrook-Ikine have enough talent to make the most of this opportunity? I know it's New England, but he had 100 receiving yards in week 11.
I don't think that's going to be a regular thing. I think that was fluky. Maybe he goes, 5 for 5 for 60 yards. I could see that happening, which is PPR usable, but don't count on 100-yard games from him. Like if you're counting on 100-yard games from him, you're desperate and I could use a lot of other choice words, but just don't count on it.
Fair enough. All right, Billy. We could debate Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor right now. I know I can just see it in your eyes, Bradley. I just want to
No debate, Bradley. No debate.
I just want to duke it out with you. But as all of that aside, Austin Eckler also had a phenomenal game on week 11. I'm waiting for the hallelujah, sounder. And he has been putting up fantasy points both through the air, two receiving scores, on the ground, two rushing scores. Is Austin Eckler like the consensus running back 3 right now behind CMC and Jonathan Taylor?
I think so. I had a bad week on rankings on running backs. I got cute and moved JT to 5. I moved Eckler to like 8 because of the matchups. And hindsight didn't work out, right? And I just, I read too much into the matchups. But I don't think Eckler is matchup proof, where I think like Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor appear to be matchup proof at this point. Like Buffalo Bills are a tough defense, and Jonathan Taylor just ran on them like they were like a middle school team. And it just wasn't even fair. It was like men playing with boys. It's going to be a true test when he plays Tampa Bay. We're going to see what happens, right? But flip side of the coin, Khalil Herbert ran for over 100 yards on Buffalo. I mean, not Buffalo, on Tampa Bay. And if Khalil Herbert can do it, I damn sure as hell know that Jonathan Taylor can do it, right?
Does that mean Khalil Herbert is greater than Saquon Barkley?
Yeah. Saquon's running scared right now. He doesn't. I mean, we'll see what happens with Garrett fired now, but I think that you can tell Saquon is hesitant. He's coming off that ACL injury. Now he's coming off an ankle injury. He did not look like Saquon. He looked like he was running scared, and rightfully so. I mean, bunch of big injuries, and but we'll see how he continues to play down the stretch here. But I had concerns going into the season. I have concerns definitely now that he's back off another injury. But we'll see how he plays. But Khalil Herbert, I loved him. I liked him a lot. You and I did a trade in Dynasty. I got my 1 week rental out of him. And then
I got a lot of hell for that trade.
You did. And you and I saw it the way it was going to be. He was probably going to start riding the pine once Montgomery came back. But we'll see what happens. I think that it would be foolish not to get him re-involved just because how he played and how Montgomery's been playing the last few weeks. I mean, Montgomery's been horrible. If you look at his like stat sheet and where he's finished on running back rankings for the weeks, like he has just been god awful. And I would think you get Herbert back involved, but yeah, diverted there for a bit. But I think Jonathan Taylor is definitely true test ahead of him here against Tampa Bay.
All right, we touched on it a little bit with Saquon Barkley, and it's not on the show sheet, but let's give some instant reaction to Jason Garrett being fired. Who is most impacted by this firing? What
Everybody.
is the Giants offense going to look like moving forward?
Can't look any worse. That's for damn sure.
I mean, no lies detected there, Billy.
The hiring to begin with was just weird. Like, why are you going to bring him in when he's been horrible as an offensive signaler for when he was with Dallas? You're going to bring him in and try to have him, work with this team. It seemed like everyone was stagnant. I want to see what happens with him gone. Like this week, it's going to be hard because they're going to be kind of in between coaches and they're not going to have, a lot of time to really get the offense working and clicking together. So I think next week will be the telltale. We're going to see glimpses of it this week, but I guarantee even on a week where they have a new coach in place for, calling plays, it's going to be better than it was.
I mean, really, you're going to say Freddie Kitchens calling plays is better than Jason Garrett?
Absolutely. Jason Garrett is horrible. Like he's one of the worst. Like I would
maybe you didn't watch the Browns the year that, Freddie Kitchens took over in an interim role. Fine. That year he took over, but when he was the full-time head coach making those calls, it was an absolute disaster. Like Baker has seriously regressed.
Both of us could probably do better just calling off plays off Madden, like quite frankly, but
also no lies detected.
Both of them are bad, but Jason Garrett's like the low life scum of the all coaches. Like he's horrible. Like hasn't been good for a long time. If he was ever good at all, it's very debatable.
Not creative, exactly. Not getting the ball to the playmakers.
Tampa, has one of the worst secondaries in football. So let's throw 2-yard outs and screenplays all game. Like, why are they not throwing the ball down the field? Why are they not attacking the secondary where that's where their weakness is? Like, it makes no sense. Like, their entire game plan was failed. Like, it was horrible. Like, how are you not going to attack their weakness? You're just going to continue to throw outs and slants and screens. It made no sense. I was just baffled the entire time.
Here, run 2 yards, Kadarius Toney, and see what happens. It's no, like you paid $72 million to Kenny Golladay to not use one of the most potent deep threats. Oh, and Darius Slayton is pretty much the same type of player. He's not Kenny Golladay, but he's the same type of player. He's
better. Kenny Golladay sucks.
Oh man, Billy is so angry toward Ken. Did he like hurt your children or something? Like, what did Kenny Golladay do?
No, I just think watching the beginning of the year, he looked okay in the beginning of the year. I mean, this offense just has been bad in general, but I mean, he is not worth that much money. He wasn't worth that much money when they signed him either. I mean, he was injury riddled in Detroit, pops up here, of course, but he's injury riddled again. But I don't think he's done anything to prove his worth with that much money.
No, I would agree. I think, when we look at like the playmakers for New York historically, even Evan Ingram, who had always had a 20% plus target share and was a power tight end, like he would go out into the slot pretty often or out wide, and just not getting him the ball. I know he struggled with drops, but like it's still Evan Ingram is an important part of this offense. Saquon Barkley, he's running scared because like he knows that they're just going to stop the run. He's the most dynamic player, and Daniel Jones is not going to, get the balls to the players that he needs to. If he's trying to just dump it off and they don't have a good game plan to get it to these, like Sterling Shepard was out. I get it. And Sterling Shepard, I would say is the best fantasy option, if not the best wide receiver in all facets on that team.
He's by far Kadarius Toney's now blossoming, right? But I think Shepard is more savvy and he's the vet.
He knows how to get open. Yeah, he's the vet. He's the Golden Tate type. I like to think of him that way. He's reliable, but he's been injured, and so if he's not in the field, can't do that. So, and Kadarius Toney, poor guy, can't stay healthy. He's limping off every other play, or there's something wrong with his hand. The New York Giants have a lot wrong that's going on with them, and I think that there's going to be more moves as the season goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe Judge by the end of the season is axed here, and Dave Gettleman as well. Yeah,
it needs to happen, right? There's so many coaches, I think, that are on the hot seat right now that have been just skating by with, less than stellar performance, poor performance, quite frankly, and it's time for changes.
Matt Nagy, maybe.
Oh, beyond, like it's like long overdue.
I mean, there was a report today that came out with conflicting reports, and Matt Nagy saying, "Oh yeah, I don't see myself getting fired after Thursday's game." Like we saw last year, the Lions coach Matt Patricia get fired the day after Thanksgiving because of the performance. And once the Bears get on the national stage and embarrass themselves, look, this is a possible upset of the week. Jared Goff very well may start on Thursday for the Lions, and I think the Lions actually have a chance to win against the Bears if Jared Goff gets the start. What do you think?
That game's gonna be so ugly. I don't want to watch that game. Like I'm gonna like time everything on my cooking so I don't have to watch that game.
All right, we'll shift to a better quarterback, Cam Newton. We mentioned him earlier in the pod, but he threw 2 touchdowns and ran for another score against Washington. He finishes the quarterback 5 in the week. Is this the type of production that we can expect from Cam moving forward, either a low end to mid quarterback 1? He had 10 rushes for almost 50 yards. Can he be a league winner?
He can be a league winner, especially if, quarterback was your weakness and you were starting the likes of someone like Trevor Siemian or, Tyler Heineke, who actually had a good week last week. But, Cam Newton has that, the rushing ability, which is going to prop up his stats and give you that floor on a week-to-week basis. I don't think you can expect top 5 performance week in, week out. I mean, that's the ceiling play, right? Like top tier quarterback 1, but I would expect kind of that, quarterback 8 through 13 range on a weekly basis.
All right. If Sam Darnold returns, will Darnold be the starter, or will Cam hold on to the job?
Darnold's toast. He's gone. I think you don't bring back Cam and pay him money to what was that? The thing we saw, it was like they're paying the backup of Cam Newton, the backup of the backup of Cam Newton, and now Cam Newton to back up the backup of the backup to all replace Cam Newton's original contract. Like, that alone is fireworthy, like, from a GM perspective. But you don't put Darnold back in. He started off hot, but the rushing touchdowns for Darnold were unsustainable, right? Cam Newton, different story.
At one point, Darnold was leading the NFL in touchdowns.
Yeah, and that wasn't going to sustain. And as bad as he looked down the stretch, on top of the injury, I would not be surprised if Darnold was, 1, either shut down, or 2, if he did make it back, was just purely a backup behind Cam Newton.
All right. We'll stay in Chicago. Darnell Mooney got 48% target share, to the moon, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had over 100 receiving yards. He had 16 targets against Baltimore, and this was with Allen Robinson out. Robinson was DNP today, and he was on Monday as well. He's unlikely to play Thursday against the Lions. Is Darnell Mooney the future wide receiver 1 for the Bears? Or is he already, he is now, obviously, 48% target share. What does the future look like for Darnell Mooney?
I mean, even with Allen Robinson on the field this year, he's just had a better rapport with Fields, now with Dalton. But I think that, Allen Robinson has not looked the same this year. And now he's hurt. And so I think Mooney is going to be the future here for the Bears. He's the youngest, of course, but the kid's fast. The kid looks good. I think Mooney's going to be a good receiver. 48% target share is just unsustainable. It's not going to happen. That's, purely due to injuries and game script, but I do not expect to see anything relatively even close to that. I'd say, 30 to 34%. It's going to be probably on a high side for Darnell Mooney even. But with Allen Robinson out, it's something that you can expect here. If he's out for Thursday, I think you can expect somewhere in that range, that low to mid 30s.
All right, Billy, let's talk about some waiver wire players that our listeners should be keeping an eye out for on the waivers as they run tonight.
So there's a lot of them. It just depends upon, there's, quite frankly, running back, of course, is the area everyone's focusing on, right, Bradley? There's a certain somebody in his name. Do you want to release that person's name? I know you know who I'm talking about.
I refuse.
Royce Freeman is a speculative ad in deep leagues, tournament leagues. Royce Freeman time, buddy.
In Houston, with the news that Philip Lindsay was cut.
Yep. Quite frankly, I think that Rex Burkhead is also worth the speculative ad. It's going to be one of these guys.
That's so gross to say.
And Burkhead was actually, did all right last week. So, and I think that they'll probably, quite frankly, Houston will figure out a way to mess it up, and they'll probably.
Burkhead went 18 for 40 on the ground, didn't have any targets.
Yeah, they're probably going to play Rex Burkhead. I'm going to over here pray that it's Royce Freeman time, but it's probably not going to be. You have Dontre Hillard here to an ad for Tennessee. You have DJ Dallas for Seattle. Pretty much you want to take a look at any of the Seattle backs right now because somebody could emerge there.
Alex Collins was uninspiring, last week.
Exactly. I think DJ Dallas could emerge. You could have Homer emerge. Somebody is going to emerge in that backfield with Carson now out for the season with that neck surgery. And if you're after wide receiver, oddly, Tre'Quan Smith is available in a lot of leagues, including high stakes leagues. And if don't quote me on this, but I believe in the last 3 weeks combined, he's wide receiver 18. Which as a free agent, that should not happen in your leagues. Like, you should not have a top 20 wide receiver sitting on your waiver wire. And he is, lo and behold, and a lot of waiver wires available, especially with the uncertainty that is happening this week with, CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. We don't know what's happening with Allen Robinson right now, what's happening with Marquise Brown. There's a lot of wide receiver needed teams out there right now. And that's somebody that you can look to, especially with the game scripts and how them playing out. New Orleans has been playing from behind and throwing the ball a little bit more. So another target there as well. Tight ends, again, we have Trotman ruled out. So, look at the New Orleans tight ends here as well.
Josh Johnson.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, he's the New Orleans tight end. He's 6'4". He's been a touchdown dependent. He's not going to get the target share, I don't think, that Troutman got, but he's a big bodied tight end.
Vanette's there as well. And I think he can he can block as well, so he's going to play more snaps. So we'll see what happens. You don't want a blocker in fantasy, but I mean, at least he's going to be on the field. But I think those are some of my immediate targets here for down the stretch for needy teams.
Let me throw a couple others out there. We talked about running backs here. One running back has been the top back in Buffalo over the last couple weeks, and that's Matt Breida.
Yeah, I forgot.
Matt Breida, yes, he's not been like super involved. He's had 3 and 5 carries over the last couple games, but he also, is used in the passing game. He has 5 targets over the last couple games. He's been used, in the red zone. So you just can't have confidence in other running like Zach Moss and Devin Singletary. Now with the involvement of Matt Breida nibbling away at what Moss and Singletary had been doing earlier in the season. Another one, Kamara and Ingram did not practice today. Ingram with a new knee injury. So Tony Jones is a speculative running back that you need to check your waiver wires for. Tony Jones, an undrafted free agent from Notre Dame. He was getting some preseason hype, was running as the running back 2 behind Kamara before he went on IR earlier this season. He's been since activated from IR, and it's within the range of outcomes. This is a situation worth monitoring. If Ingram does not go, we've seen the Saints lean more heavily on a singular running back, and that very well may be Tony Jones, who produced during his time at Notre Dame. Ty Montgomery also got into full practice, but I think it would be Tony Jones who would get the majority of carries if both Ingram and Kamara are out.
Oh man, that's so ugly. Tony Jones I don't like Tony Jones, but I mean, carries are carries. And at this point in the season, you may just be looking for anyone who has opportunity. And we've said it before, opportunity is king. So if you're in a dire need, sure, look that way, but hopefully you can look elsewhere.
A couple wide receiver options I'll throw out. Cedric Wilson. Cedric Wilson in a game earlier this year had a 17% target share. And we mentioned Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. Cooper out, CeeDee Lamb possibly missing this game. I don't expect Michael Gallup to command a 25% target share or something in that realm. Dalton Schultz might get 6 to 8 targets, but Cedric Wilson very well may get a 15 to 20% target share in this game, and he's super cheap. Marquez Valdez-Scantling had over a 34% target share last week, and that was because Allen Lazard was out. Aaron Rodgers is not throwing much to Randall Cobb at all. It's Marquez Valdez-Scantling, I think, running as the 2 behind Devontae Adams. And Rodgers is willing to take deep shots. He trusts Valdez-Scantling down the field to be that deep threat. So if you want a boom-bust option, if you feel like you need a shot in the arm, take a shot on Marquez Valdez-Scantling. And I mentioned Josh Johnson earlier, but if you were banking on Troutman and there's not much on the waiver wire, Josh Johnson is a touchdown-dependent tight end.
Okay, I like it. I got one before we finish up here, Bradley.
All right, throw it at me.
This is a listener question on Twitter here. So, G-Man, if you're listening, you can get the answer here. I'll also post the link to the show inside the question on Twitter, so that way you have to watch it to find out. Evil plan. But we have. He says, Sir Musio, I am fighting for my life in this league with Kamara probably out and Aaron Jones out as well. How would we rank these available backs? I currently have Javonte Williams in my running back 1 slot with Darrell Williams on bye. Wilson Jr. drop ? Alex Collins ? On bench. And then he shows 4 running backs: David Johnson, Ramondre Stevenson, Ty Johnson, and your deep cut of the week that you just mentioned, Tony Jones.
Ooh, okay. So I'd probably go Ramondre Stevenson if Ingram is active. I'd probably go Ramondre Stevenson even if Ingram is not active. I'd still rank, I think, Ramondre Stevenson as the number 2 there. And then Tony Jones if he's the lead back in New Orleans. I'm not really inspired by David Johnson. I don't think he's going to get a lot of run. I think it is going to be Rex Burkhead. Jeff Wilson did not look good. Like
Jeff Wilson got outran by Deebo Samuel.
Yup. They trusted Devo the as the running back 1 in that backfield over Jeff Wilson. It just tells you that they don't think Wilson's ready for that role, and they
sure as hell don't think Trey Sermon's ready for that role.
I mean,
how salty do you think Trey Sermon is? Like,
you saw that he unfollowed them on Instagram, right? And
that's like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, this was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, he removed them from his bio on Instagram and unfollowed
because he doesn't play for him. Like, he doesn't even exist. He's a ghost.
I mean, no lies detected. No, Billy's spitting facts here.
So a name that you didn't mention in this group that I actually am contemplating first was Ty Johnson.
I think it's
passive. He's very capable as a pass catcher. You have Carter out with a high ankle sprain. You have Tevin Coleman coming back from injury, and they're facing the Houston Texans, who are very vulnerable against the run. I mean, so is the Jets with David Johnson, right? But I think that, Ramondre Stevenson, as good as he looks and as strong as he is, Tennessee is pretty tough. So
I'm not going Ty Johnson. Zach Wilson is going to be the starter. Zach Wilson targets his running backs at like 12% of the time. Ty Johnson, he will not be getting 7, 6, or 8 targets like he was when Mike White was starting. I think that, and that's where he was making his money, is in the PPR realm. There's no way you can trust Ty Johnson.
Okay, so 12%. Okay, so let's just say that Zach Wilson throws the ball like 27 times, right? So 27 times. So you're looking at
3 or 4 targets.
3 to 4 targets. Okay. Plus he's getting goal line carries, which because he was getting those already before. He's getting the bulk of the first and second down runs now with
Ty
out.
Johnson has. So this is his rushing attempts for the season: 4, 12, 3, 3, 4, 5, 4, 4, 2, and 1. I have no confidence in Ty Johnson, especially with Tevin Coleman still being there.
So I don't have the stats pulled up in front of me right now, but how many carries has Michael Carter had the last 3-4 weeks?
Well, let me pull it up. Give me a second.
I'm going to say 14 to 17 touches. Let's do total touches.
Well, over the since he's had double-digit carries every week since week 4, except for week 11 when he went out early with the injury.
So targets and carries, what are we looking at? 14 through 17?
Well, 12, 16, 13, 20, 29, 15, 22. Yeah.
It's a lot of touches that are up for grabs here in this backfield.
But it's Zach Wilson throwing the ball down the field. I don't think that
it could be Zach Wilson handing the ball off too.
I don't think that is going to be Zach Wilson handing the ball off. That was his whole selling point. that was the difference between him and a lot of other quarterbacks. We were wowing during the offseason. Oh, he's taking shots down the field. Oh, look at these pretty balls that he's throwing. Oh, he's the next Patrick Mahomes. And he's a gunslinger. He's not afraid. Yeah, pretty balls. Yeah. Why don't you splice that clip there, Billy, and get that in the introduction? Pretty balls. Anyway, so
it's like the turkey picture I sent you for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. But at any rate, it's Zach Wilson's type of play doesn't align with the running backs or even the offense working at all. Before Mike Waite came in, Zach Wilson struggled mightily. He was throwing picks after picks. He was leading the league in interceptions by the time that he was inactive due to the injuries. I don't think the offense works very well. I don't think the type of play works very well. I'm fading the running backs for the Jets. I don't think they get in scoring position very much. I think the only plays that you can have for the Jets are Corey Davis in a desperation flex play, and Elijah Moore, I think, has established himself as a wide receiver 3 solidly that has wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 upside.
Yeah, he's really taken a step forward these last few weeks. He's looked really good.
So let me get very opinionated about the Jets offense.
Yeah, just curious to get your take on it. I agree with you. I'd still lean Ramondre Stevenson here. I just wanted to get your take.
I think
on
Stevenson, Tony Jones, and
you're putting Tony Jones ahead, and then David Johnson last.
David Johnson last, yeah.
Ooh, okay. We differ here. I do have Stevenson ahead first. Then I have Ty Johnson. Then I have.
I'm assuming that Ingram is out.
Yeah, of course. This is of course assuming Ingram's out. If Ingram's in, Tony Jones is barely even. He's not even rosterable, quite frankly. Yeah. Very deep leagues, tournament play, sure, go ahead and stash that lightning in a bottle. But if you're confined leagues, you really can't own them. But for me, out of this, Mr. G-Man, for your question, I am starting. Are grabbing Stevenson on this. Okay. Are you dropping Wilson Jr. or Alex Collins for Stevenson? Absolutely. I am.
Yeah. 100%. If Stevenson is on your waiver wire, he needs to be picked up. He's a possible flex play.
Looks like it. This looks like a Yahoo league that he posted.
Okay.
So yeah, Stevenson's first for both of us. Bradley then picks Tony Jones. If Ingram's out, I pick Ty Johnson. Both of us have, you have David Johnson as 4th, right?
Yeah. I have him last.
So I have him 3rd. So there's your picks, G-Man. I'm going to post that in. I'll post the link to the show inside your Twitter question, and we'll go from there. All right. Is that it for the night, Bradley?
Unless you want to talk more Thanksgiving. I think we've talked about a lot of important things so far. Obviously, there are 3 games going on Thursday, not just one. All throughout the day, there's 1 game per slate, so you don't have to worry about flipping between channels. But that means fewer games on Sunday. There have been some schedule updates, and of course, for future weeks, some teams being flexed or not flexed based on based on how they've been doing. But obviously, we're still gonna do a pod later this week and keep you updated on what's going on.
And for those of you who are still in the haunted FFPC, or even if you're just in a home league or confined league and you're doing start sits, you don't need to go through your entire roster. Like just look for the word Thursday and then just do your start sits based on Thursday games, and then come back to that on Saturday night for Sunday games. Like, people spend so much more time needed than they should, or on it than they should. Because realistically, you can just do, and Thursday's a big game, but normally you have 1 game, right? And you can just do 1 start sit on Thursday and then wait till the rest of the news comes out. Like, I was talking with a guy off air and that got brought up, and I just wanted to mention that before we get off the show. Don't, drown yourself and start sit questions on Wednesday night. Like, just look at the Thursday game and see if there's any start sit questions you have for Thursday that have an effect with Sunday. But if there's not, then boom, just wait until Saturday night.
It's certainly worth, not stressing over, because, you're going to be sitting with those Thursday players anyways, and tilting. There's nothing better than the Thanksgiving tilt.
Yes. All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your families. Happy holidays. We hope you have a safe holiday as well as a fun holiday, and filled full of football, food, beer, wine, whatever you want.
Stuffing.
Oh man, I love stuffing. Can't you tell?
Cranberry juice, cranberry sauce.
So we'll see you all back here later in the week, whether that's Friday or Saturday is still yet to be determined. Bradley, I take you as a Black Friday shopper. Are you a Black Friday shopper?
I did it once.
Oh,
I did it once.
Yeah,
it was just a fun little thing to do. I don't know. I did it once because I was just hanging out with friends and we're like, let's go do it. And then I did it once and no more.
I went with my sister one time because she wanted to save X amount of dollars on a TV, and she got there and it was like, they're like, no, we sold it like an hour ago. Right. And I'm just like, the amount of crowds, and they had like the crowd control bars and everything. I'm like, this is madness. I wasn't even like Black Friday shopping. That's like going late. Right. And I just refuse to do it.
Most of the places that you're shopping nowadays, like they have Black Friday week sales, and
because they don't want their employees being trampled.
That's fair. And Fantasy Data has a Black Friday sale. So make sure you go to let's get the details of that out here for our listeners here. 60% off, right?
60% off. That's right. You heard me. 60% off Black Friday sale for the site. I'll post the link to the discount inside the show notes on YouTube. So go to YouTube. If you haven't, smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and check out that link. Head on over to Fantasy Data and get 60% off any of those subscriptions. So again, thanks for tuning in, folks. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you all back here at the end of the week. Good night.